Stories with Duncan. I'm here with Cliff, and he has a story for us. And Duncan's taking a nap, it looks like. All right, do I have your permission, Cliff, to record this?
Absolutely. Here's hoping. It's the name of my story is Tandem Skydiving, parentheses, fast, not fast, Cliffy finds adrenaline. I have to confess that I am probably a few decades past my prime physical shape. My excuse is that I peaked at an early age. I was the fastest runner in my fourth grade class. I was fast then in fifth grade. I switched school, and my buddy from the old school challenged the fastest kid in our class. He said, "You want to race? Cliffy will burn your socks off." I was feeling confident until someone yelled, "On your mark, get set, go," as I burst up to speed. Panama, no. First, I never really saw the other kid leave. I just saw dust ahead of me. That's about when I began to think about being a bodybuilder. I wanted to be one of those weightlifters you see in the Olympics. His chest is so big that his arms stick out at an angle. I could see myself reaching down and jerking this incredible weight to my chest and then thrusting it up over my head with lots of groaning and shaking off of arms. Then I let it crash to the floor. You know, that is really hard work. And if I had used real weights, it would have nearly killed me. My father, my pop, had a great physique. He had a broad, thick chest and really muscular arms. Most of it came from hard manual work. My pop was a man's man, quiet yet strong. But as a kid, I thought he drove like an 80-year-old granny. Even going downhill, I don't think he ever exceeded the speed limit. Our family car was a 1950 four-door Chevrolet with a stick shift. Back then, there were no interstates with long entrance ramps. To get on the Merritt Parkway near our house, you had to first come to a dead stop. When there was room enough for Pop to stick the Chevy nose out into the parkway, he did it. And then he would go, vroom, vroom. And there we were, going 20 miles an hour in the third lane, third gear, and cars were screeching and swerving behind us as we boys were screaming, "Step on it, Pop! They're gonna kill us!" He'd say, "Don't worry about it. It's their job to look out for us." I got my driver's license the day I turned 16. It was a major turning point in my life. The first time I got to drive my father's Chevrolet alone at night. It was like I had been mystically transported, and I was seated behind the wheel of a Formula One race car. When I got to Merritt Parkway that night, the engine was screaming for mercy. And first, as I went, I now knew my calling. I had been called to drink at the fountain of adrenaline. Now, skipping ahead past some motorcycles and muscle care and other bunch of years, my daughter Katie was born when I was 42 years old, the same age my father was when I was born. I vowed that as Katie grew up, I would give her a chance to drink at the fountain of adrenaline. As soon as she was old enough to recognize the steering wheel, I had her racing cars. As Katie grew up, no roller coaster or other thrill ride was too scary for us to try. We loved it. About 20 years later, or 20 years ago, one of Katie's friends came home from college, and she bragged about how much fun her tandem skydive had been. She said free falling at 120 miles an hour was absolutely awesome. Katie was anxious to do it, so how could I refuse her? If you don't know what tandem skydiving is, it's sort of like quadruple car bypass. Forget it. All right. So I got mistakes in here.
Oh, you were doing so well. That was awesome.
If you don't know what tandem skydiving is, it's sort of like having quadruple bypass surgery. That is, you put your life in the hands of a total stranger and pray for success. The tandem part, you wear a harness that goes between your legs, another around your waist, another your chest, and up over my shoulder in complete. In turn, your harness is attached very tightly to a similarly harness worn by the real skydiver, the jump master. You are basically just ballast on his stomach. If you plan to skydive, you better not have a hang up about guys who have lots of tattoos, earrings, or shaven heads. If you are looking for a jump master with a wedding ring and picture of his wife and kids on his desk, you may want to consider something like extreme badminton instead. I signed Katie and myself up for the full package. That is a second skydiver doing video and still pictures of us doing our whole free fall time. And after our parachute opened, he continued to free fall for a while and was there to photograph our landing. Katie's dive was perfect. She and her jump master did a double forward flip as they exited the plane, and as soon as they were spread eagled in a stabilized position, they started doing flat spins. And then the photographer flew in, and as he was getting close, Katie said, "I love you, Mom," to the camera. Something married for 40 years, and she tells more people about that "I love you" than any I said. Then the photographer turned hands with Katie's jump master, and the three of them did flat spins together. And in the video, you can see clouds revolving in the background. Awesome. My skydive was not anywhere near perfect. You see, I love speed, but I'm petrified of heights. My nose starts to bleed when I try to get to the third step on a stepladder. Around our house, Katie and my wife, Sharon, climb the ladders while I do the manly thing of holding the ladder so it doesn't slip. In preparation for the skydive, we were given our sorts of instructions about arching our back and spread eagling our legs for aerodynamic stability. Unfortunately, my photographer was a little bullet-shaped guy, and he insisted that I had to keep my hands across my chest during the free fall because he was afraid that my jump master and I would fall slower than him if I spread eagled my arms and he wouldn't get any photographs of me. When stabilized, he said that I could make some breast movement motions like I was swimming and human to be to my video. Frankly, it had never crossed my mind to try to be funny while falling at 120 miles an hour. As I stood in the doorway of the plane at 14,000 feet, looking down at scattered clouds, my mind totally turned to mayonnaise. A few seconds after jumping, my jump master Paul had stabilized